Hello there, Facebook friends. This is Jennifer Darling, your positively successful sales coach with Darling Coaching. And I am here tonight with our special guest, Charr Crail. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Charr.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. Let me read you Charr's bio real quick because tonight is all a night about accessing your creativity. Don't you love that? I know I sure do. So Charr has been a photographer and an artist all of her life, but she's been a working professional one for 25 years. The better part of her career has been as a photojournalist for both newspaper and as a picture editor for Northern California newspapers, such as a really huge one, the Sacramento Bee. She's also a faculty member at the Sacramento City College teaching students Adobe Photoshop. Currently, she's a full-time freelance photographer specializing in people, entertainment, and imaginative photo illustrations. She also speaks to professional groups and colleges about photography and puts on workshops online and at her studio in Sacramento, teaching a series of creative, hands-on digital imaging techniques, including ones for absolute beginners like me, all the way to entrepreneurs who want to create their own marketing materials, and even to people who are seasoned pros who want to go deeper with their creativity. Charr does it all from beginning to end, top to bottom, the full gamut. So welcome, Charr, to my show tonight.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Oh, it's a very strange experience actually having somebody read your bio in front of you like that.
I know, it's really weird, huh? You're like, who is that person? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just me. You know, I just do what I do. We're just who we are, doing what we do.
And you're so brilliant at that. Charr's been doing interviews. You've been doing quite a bit of interviews yourself lately, haven't you?
Oh, I have. I began this new extraordinary project called Focus on Creativity because, you know, that's my conversation. That's the conversation of my life. And I believe in it so deeply, and I know that every one of us, literally, it's in our DNA. And I even started the conversation, I think, because I discovered, much to my shock and amazement, that there are people out there who do not know that they're creative. I think because they relate it to some specific idea about, well, I don't paint, I don't draw, therefore I'm not creative. But oh no, creativity is in everything.
That's what I thought too. I mean, I would say, oh, I'm not creative. I can only draw a stick figure. Like I can't even paint or any of that stuff. And then I realized creativity is beyond just what you can do with your hands. I mean, I was coming up with all kinds of brilliant ideas for people, but I didn't realize that was part of creativity.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that you can find ideas for people, like evaluate who they are and what they do, what matters to them. In fact, I've seen you do it. I've seen you just like do it on the spot, just come up with this perfectly crafted sentence that is so specific to the person you're talking to. It is mind-blowing.
I always thought of creativity, you know, as like an artistic expression. But when I say that, I mean like drawing, painting, sculpting, something you do like with your hands. I mean, my mom is like this person who can crochet and macrame and knit, stitch, whatever, all that stuff brilliantly. And I one time tried to crochet a pot holder, a square pot holder, and it was round. And I threw it out and I said, forget this business. I don't know how to do that. I am not the least
so interesting.
Creative.
It's so interesting. Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because actually one of my weird little theories that I throw out every now and then is that, you know, just how we wake up in the morning and choose the clothing that we're going to put on that day, we're literally creating ourselves for other people. We're creating ourselves for ourselves based on our style and our, you know, and what means something to us and what makes us feel good and want to present ourselves to the world and you know, how we represent ourselves, whether we're going to wear a suit and tie or we're going to wear, you know, high-heeled shoes versus clogs or all those different things are all actually very creative choices in how we're creating ourselves for the world.
And I remember the first time I met you, and one of the things I admired about you, and I could tell right away that you were a creative type, was by your hair color, which you have so beautifully displayed today as well.
Oh gosh, it's pretty wild these days. I'm kind of digging it.
I picked my first, I picked my last hairdresser, the one I've been with for like 15 years. I picked her because the day I met her, she had a whole lot of blue in her hair. And I thought, oh, I love this gal. She'll do things that other people won't do because she'll take risks.
Nice.
That's what I was thinking when I picked her. So, I think that people who are willing to do what you do will take risks, and that's a really great thing to do.
That's actually kind of a brilliant point. I think that creativity is about taking risk. And sometimes for somebody eating a scrambled egg versus a poached egg is taking a risk, right? and so, that's one of the fascinating things about people is the infinite variables that make us each individually unique and how we sort of move forward through our lives.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to get into a little bit of conversation tonight about some of the ways that you might share with people how they can get more creative. But before we do that, I just want to let everybody know that if you have any questions throughout our conversation tonight, please post them in the comment section, and I'll pop them up and I'll let Charr read them, and she'd be happy to answer any questions about tapping into your creativity. And I already see that we have somebody who joined us, which is Michelle Finnegan Nixon, and I'll pop her up here real quick. She says, hello, you fabulous women. So hello, Michelle. We're so glad you're here on our broadcast. So Charr, when we were getting ready for tonight, you're going to talk a little bit about these kind of three, I'll call them pillars for lack of a better word right now: play, riff, and breathe. So I haven't had a chance to read the full article about this. I'm really more curious in hearing what you have to say and how you might recommend to people. Let's start with play. What do you say about play?
Thank you. It's such an interesting little trio of ideas, isn't it? And honestly, it came to me so spontaneously. It's nothing I've read about before like that. But I recognize that in order to be creative, one of the things is we have to play. We have to be willing to have fun, or we have to be willing to try new things out. And I guess one of the big visions that comes to me when I think about that word play is literally like a playground, right? Where you have a sandbox. And then you have all the tools at hand. I mean, you might have a bucket or a spoon or, something, or your hands even, just to dig into that sand and start creating something. So the world is your playground, whatever your world is. It doesn't matter. Yours as sales and mine in photography and the apps that I use to do the extraordinary, materials that I make and words on pictures and all this stuff crazy stuff, amazing stuff that I do professionally. And whatever your world is, you're in a sandbox. You're in your own little playground. That's your life. And then the second word there was riff. So I'm not even sure why these words came together, but when I thought of the word riff, what it meant to me was it's about play, but it's a deeper level of play, right? Play allows you access to trying something, or just getting in the realm, getting going. But riff actually is and I keep thinking of this extraordinary guitarist who lives not far from here, Frank Hannon. He's in a band called Tesla, and he's just this phenomenal guitarist, right? And so he'll just get on his guitar, and he doesn't have the notes written down. He's in his head. It's in his head, and he's on his guitar, and he's literally ripping, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. He's ripping. He's making it up as he goes. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, and isn't that the same about songwriting or anything that we're creating in the world, where we're like, hey, I'm trying that out. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. And then there's an aha, or a eureka, or oh my God, that's good. And then you go in this new direction, one that you didn't see before, but it was because you were willing to riff, right? And then the breathe part, actually, it seems totally out of step, but that's also because creativity, we think of creativity as being something that we're taking step by step. Well, I'm going to learn creativity. Therefore, okay, chapter 1, what do I do? Chapter 2, what do I do? Step 1, step 2. There's no such thing in creativity. It's literally, I've even actually seen some studies around this, that it's literally a zigzag. It's like a big Z. It's a zigzag.
There aren't any wrong or right answers to creativity.
No wrong or right, and it's like a DNA strand, right? It's constantly overlapping. So the breathe represents actually just being present, like being here now. Right? And it could be like smelling something or seeing something and feeling the air on your skin, or how something feels when you touch it. All these senses that we have, including our sixth sense about intuition and instinct, those things that you can't quantify or even give there's no reason to it, and yet something, right? So breathe is the access to just being grounded and being where you are so that you can be in your playground, so that you can riff. And you can see how these things, they just overlap and overlap. And part of it is also just belief that you can be creative, and then trusting that your creativity is worthwhile and it's good.
Well, when I learned that creativity could come in the form of ideas, or like you mentioned, I do sales. So even in sales packaging, or understanding what the client's needs are and being able to create something that works for them within their realm of possibility, or create an idea or in a concept, I thought, okay, well, now I'm accessing my creative part. But then I have that kind of kinesthetic creative part that I was so scared. And when you say breathe, I remember the first time I was creating a painting.
Oh, wow.
And I was at a retreat, and we had to draw out the outline and then start painting. I thought, oh my gosh, this thing is going to be so horrible. And I literally was sweating. My palms were sweating because I was so nervous I was going to mess it up, and I wasn't breathing. And I remember having to tell myself, oh, breathe. It's going to be fine, and there's no way to mess this up. And oh my gosh, I made the prettiest picture of an angel. And then when I were just a couple weeks ago at the corking painting place, and I couldn't believe it that I had done another portrait, only this time it was even better. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm really digging this painting thing.
Wow.
It was so cool. So sometimes you just have to practice. Like it doesn't come, different parts of creativity don't come natural, but you can practice and get it there. So what are some of the ways, Heather says, such a great topic. I need some tips on accessing my creativity. Are there any simple things that people could do to get going in accessing their creativity?
Yeah, and that goes right to that word play. It's funny. You just reminded me. My husband and I actually have we're putting on a webinar, a live masterclass. We're putting on a live masterclass, 29 ways to access your creativity masterclass.
Love it.
And we've got all these amazing exercises, and one of them, I'm going to go, it's almost a spoiler because, I think we were going to actually just surprise people on the call. But one of them is you got to play, and sometimes you got to be silly. And it's almost embarrassing to do it because I'm on the spot now. But it's what came to mind. So literally, we can talk, and we can use words, and we could read out loud, and it could all be linear, right? Or we could actually talk. We can talk, and we can emphasize things, and we can put in our emotion around how we express ourselves. Or we can sing, how we're going to talk. And by singing, actually, it helps our brain think about how we're going to say something. And it may not be how we were going to say it originally, but the singing brought us access to a new way of expression. So
I love that.
Really good example.
I hadn't thought about that. I love talking about singing as warming up for sales calls because, singing, as you just said, is a whole different way of communicating. It also, if you sing out loud, it also helps increase your adrenaline and opens up your lung capacity. So it has some physiological, benefits to it as well.
It does.
I have to tell you, Charr, I have got this blogging challenge. It's called a social media blogging challenge, and I've got 40 people in my group.
Oh, wow.
We are now in week 3, and only about 5 of them have started writing blogs, week 1 or week 2 blogs.
Oh, my.
I know. So I asked the question. I put up a little poll, and I said, what's keeping you from doing your blog? I mean, there's no commitment to doing a blog, but so they signed up. They wanted to learn how to write blogs. Yeah. And what I heard back was, one, I get frozen. I sit down at my computer and I get totally frozen. I wrote back some suggestions, but I'm curious, do you have any ideas for people who are stuck writing, how they might be able to get going with their creativity?
Yes, absolutely. Honestly, as I was listening to you, I was having a flood of ideas, not to mention my cat is here, just really being intrigued.
Hi, Kitty. What's my cat's name?
His name is Lilo.
Hi, Lilo.
Hi, Lilo. Actually, one thing that people can do, and this is actually a very, very powerful tool. And I use this. I mean, this is something that I actively do when I need to find answers to a question that I have, right? We're like, I need an answer. I have a big question. So it's called stream of consciousness writing. And what you do is literally, and this gets back to, remember I talk about the senses a little bit, right? And this is actually a tactile senses exercise where you're not, I mean, you sit down with a piece of paper and a pen. You're not actually doing it on your computer. You could, but I recommend sitting down with your pen and a piece of paper and literally just start writing. I don't want to be writing. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. Why am I reading?
Tactile experience.
You have a tactile experience, but more than that, the other rules around stream of consciousness writing is that you do not correct yourself. You do not edit anything you write. You do not worry about punctuation or, capitalized letters or anything. Literally, you absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm having a cat issue. You just allow whatever that is. You just allow yourself to write. And I have received brilliant ideas that have come out once I get past all the, I don't know what I'm writing about or, whatever. I mean, you just get it out of the way. You just get the junk out of the way and you'll be amazed if you just keep going. And one thing you can do is just set your timer for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And just go for it. There's no pressure. You don't have to write anything. If it turns out to be gobbledygook, who cares? But the thing is allowing yourself to do it and play. Don't take it so seriously. It doesn't have to be.
And I think that's what happens is that we're all living in such serious lives, especially, for me, I can say I was in the corporate world for 20 years and it's pretty structured. And different companies were more structured than others. Some weren't as structured. But sometimes when you get into that structured environment, or even if you've created for yourself, I've got goals, I've got a plan, I'm going to make these action steps. And I even do it to my students too. It's like, all right, let's create your action plan. And how are you doing on your action plan? And that's purposeful and it's really beneficial. But sometimes you just really need to step back and you need to say, for me to get ahead and for me to make my goals and for me to accomplish great things, I need to step back and play a little bit and riff, like you said.
Play and riff. And you just reminded me, there's a gentleman named Tim Gillette who actually has this blogging challenge. I love his blogging challenge. It's really fun. But he's just like, what's the first car you had? Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Tell a childhood story. Just simple things like that where there's no pressure. You can blog about anything. You can. It doesn't even matter.
You don't even have to post it. Just get writing. Just get into the practice of writing, and you don't even have to post it. You don't even have to share it with anyone. Just get going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the most famous.
Here, she says hello. Hi, Kristen. The butterfly element lady.
Hi, Kristen.
And I want to remind everyone, if you have questions or comments for Charr about accessing your creativity, please post them in the comments. She'd be happy to answer any questions for you. And certainly, we want to hear a little bit more in just a few minutes about your upcoming couple of programs that you have going on, your 29 ideas to access creativity. Super cool. Yeah. Oh, there's Kristen again. Hey, Kristen, you have a question about creativity? I see you popping in here, so I thought, I better just ask her. She's here. Let's see. We have Nora O'Brien. We have Heather Goldsmith Christensen. Do you know Heather? Charr, do you know Heather?
No, I don't know.
Heather is a CPA, bookkeeper, financial person. So, sometimes when you're living in that kind of world, you can kind of be in your analytical person.
You can.
And your creativity. So
look at how creative math is. Math solutions, right? I mean,
I don't know anything about that Common Core math, but that sounds super creative to me.
Oh, that's not creative to me. It sounds like, what? Why are we? It's like, I don't know enough about it to even talk about it. So yeah, we'll avoid that one entirely.
So you had a really good example here. I don't know is this something we can talk about? Is the haiku?
Oh yes, haiku. Part of what goes on in the world around creativity.
Oh, real quick, look who just popped in.
Oh, well, hello. It's my husband, Chris Goslow. Hi. Thanks for coming, honey.
Absolutely fabulous, handsome, smart, and creative husband just popped on for a few minutes before his piano lesson. Hi, Chris.
Indeed. Thank you for being here. I think Kristen did have a question, although I didn't see it. It sort of floated past before I got a look at it. But I will talk to you about the haiku really quickly. In our day-to-day lives, literally everything's about troubleshooting. And it doesn't mean it's trouble. It's troubleshooting, problem solving, what to wear this morning, what to eat tonight, what to cook for my family, how to get where I'm going, And I think, interestingly enough, a haiku is a very traditional Japanese form of 3-line poem. It's a 3-line poem with 17 syllables. The first line is 5 syllables, the second one is 7 syllables, and the third is 5 syllables. And you might think to yourself, oh, no big deal, what, 3 lines, 17 syllables? I could do that. Guess what? It's a lot more complicated than it looks, actually, because there's a lot more sort of ideas in it. You somewhere you have to mention nature. And although they suggest that you not try to, it's not as simple as spring, winter, summer, fall. How do you say what period of time that you're in without being so obvious? And very often they have to do with contrast and things that are going on, things there's like a push-pull in the world, or and nature. Nature is a huge, big topic in haiku, and I mean we're talking, it goes back to hundreds and hundreds of years. And this particular one that I found was very interesting. The words are, first autumn morning, the mirror I stare into shows my father's face.
Wow.
And you can see
really beautiful.
What a story that 3 lines in 17 syllables, 575 is telling.
Right.
All those things.
Write haikus about their 30-second elevator pitch.
I know, right? But seriously, it would probably be a great exercise. And it is it'd be a fun exercise. And it is one of the ones that are 29 ways to access creativity, because it's about thinking. It's about problem solving. It's about coming up with ideas that you may not have had before. Everybody knows what a poem is, but this is a new style of thinking with a very particular set of circumstances.
And your brain is a muscle, right? Just like the rest of your body. So the more that you're exercising that muscle, the more that you have access to that muscle. And I think that's a very important thing to distinguish, because a lot of people are living in stress, tons of stress in their lives. We had Julie, the Brain Lady Anderson, here last week talking about stress management. And so many people are living in stress and anxiety, and they're having a hard time getting past that section of their brain to get to the much bigger part of their brain that accesses creativity and productivity and really just a whole lot of thinking part of your brain. Yeah. And Dr. Selena Bartlett talks about this too. So, do you believe in that? Do you believe that it's like a muscle, and that as you exercising your creativity, you get deeper and deeper with it?
I absolutely believe that. It's like with anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The quicker you can do it, whatever it is, just like some people have to do meditation. They may have to sit there for 35 minutes before they can even breathe in just the way they do it. And other people just like, I'm in.
Oh yeah. That's me. Like, I don't meditate very often. So if I have a visualization or meditation or time for prayer or whatever, it does take me a good very many minutes to try to get through all of my constant, like my brain chatter.
Yes.
Before I connect.
Absolutely. So anything we're learning to do, of course, is it gets easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Exercising the brain, like you said.
Here says being playful equals being creative, which is where you started with the play. So being playful in your thinking, even as well as your physical activity. Now, Kristen has a question, which I know flashed by your screen a little bit ago. But I have the access to put it up here. So we did talk about blogging a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if Kristen missed it or not, but I want to make sure that we address her question. So she says, I need to know how to overcome the scary regarding blogging. I'm scared to post sometimes and thinking that I'll be made fun of. So maybe for her, it's not getting going in the writing. It's the judgment part is what I read into that.
Absolutely. But you know what? On the other side of that, there are so many people that may have that same concern and fear, and they're grateful that she was so courageous that she posted, because they're like, oh my God, I totally get that. Oh, I had an experience like that. Oh, I really relate to that. Where people are really going to have an experience of you being relatable, right?
Yeah, I had a lady one time, I made a post, and she completely disagreed with me. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, how horrible of her to disagree with me. And, kind of had my feelings hurt a little bit at first. And then I thought about it before I reacted, because usually I just react and like fire something back, but I thought about it. And I replied to her and I said, thank you so much for disagreeing with me. I absolutely love that you had a different opinion because there are 1,000 ways to do anything. And I love that you had a different opinion because it might be the right way for somebody else. Right. And she wrote back and we got into a beautiful conversation. Wow. And she appreciated the fact that I could accept her difference. So I would add to that too, Kristen, is people are going to disagree with you, and that's okay, because if we were all the same, how boring would that be anyway?
No, you're absolutely right. But I love the story you told, because it took me right back to the one of those 3 things that I gave you early on, which was called breathe, because that is being present with somebody else and being able to hear them instead of react to them. Like, you listened, you paid attention. Right? And so you were able to access something that you wouldn't have had before had you not been present, and you just reacted. You took the time. You took that breath before so that you could think that through, and then you had a whole new experience of it. So actually, it's the perfect expression of what I'm talking about around creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. I didn't even think of it that way, but thank you. All right, Kristen, thank you so much. That was a really great question. I appreciate you asking. Well, Charr, believe it or not, we've already been talking about creativity for over 25 minutes. What I want to do is I want to make sure that people can find out where to find you, and you and your lovely husband Chris, that you've talked about, have a great program that's going to be coming up. Can you tell us about your program? How can people access it? Of course, give me the link. I'll post it in the comments so people can sign up. But why don't you tell us about this great program you guys are working on?
Okay, great. It's 29 ways to access creativity. It's a masterclass. It's an online webinar, and it's going to be on May 8th. It's only an hour and a half. Well, I shouldn't say only. It's on May 2nd. Sorry, I was thinking about a different one. It's on May 2nd, and it's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. It's 90 minutes long, and we've got these 29 things. There'll be a PDF. There'll be a handout that people can have with it's very interesting with links and all kinds of stuff in it, so they can actually see and experience some things we're talking about.
You said May 2nd?
I said May 2nd, yes. And I will give you the link. I do have the page on our website, and there's a link that they can go ahead and register. It's only $20. We decided to create something that was called an easy yes, so that
I'm registered, everybody, so you should be there too.
Hey, awesome! Thank you so much. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're very much looking forward to it. We've had a few signups already. We're delighted to get it out to more people so that they can see what they can do, where they can go take themselves to the next level creatively. So I'm excited to do this.
Awesome. So that might be a great idea for you, Kristen, is to check that out as well. All right. And what I'll do is when we're done with this session is I will have Charr comment on the link, or I'll put the link or whatever, and we'll definitely find a way to get you there. All right, Charr, any additional thoughts or comments before we wrap up tonight?
Just that this was super fun and you're amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so sweet. Thank you. And I appreciate you being my guest at the last minute, because we did just, get you on. And, oh, yes, Kristen says post the link. Okay, we'll certainly do that.
Thanks, Kristen, so much.
And
thanks for your question.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to Positively Successful Women in Business show tomorrow night on Facebook Live. We're going to have my friend Val Neighbors, and she's going to be talking about emotional intelligence and how important that is to your sales success. And I'm a sales and marketing gal, so one of the things I really, really, really dig is whenever I get to meet other extraordinary sales coaches, and Val is one of those. So I cannot wait to introduce you to Val, and she will help you uncover several things about your emotional intelligence. So that'll be tomorrow night at 4 p.m. on Facebook Live. So make sure that you join us. And Charr, thank you again for your fabulous conversation tonight. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to your masterclass on May 2nd. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.